Welcome to the Publish Her podcast, a place where you can come to get inspiration, motivation, help, encouragement, and support in your journey to write, publish, and sell your book. Hosted by Alexa Bigwharf.
'Cause I've been where you've been, and I felt what you're feeling, and I don't want to get in your way.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Publish Her podcast. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, marketing, but even more specific to marketing, PR. And PR seems to be one of those things that we just can never quite get enough information about because things change. It can be very different and customized to one person for another as to how and where they're getting PR. Technology and tools change, but overall, what we do know is that for an author to be successful in marketing their book, they have to be out there getting in front of people, talking about themselves as much as they're talking about their book, right? So today we have Paige Dungan, who is a communications expert who knows how to get authors and their books noticed. She was the former head of PR and talent at Success Magazine and is known for her creative media launch strategies. Paige has landed multiple authors on bestseller lists and is always looking for new and innovative ways to promote books. You can find her work inside Gurus Magazine and Reach TV, where she helps readers and viewers discover the next book on their nightstands, which is where we all want to be, no matter what we've written, right?
Yes, we want to be right next to people so they grab our book, right?
Oh my gosh, if y'all could only see the stack of books on my nightstand, like there's so many. Well, welcome, Paige. I'm so happy to have you here on the show. Well, let's get started with, how did you wind up? I mean, we don't have to go down the whole, like, how did you
let's resume
from the time you were born. How did you but how did you wind up working with authors in particular and book marketing type of PR and media launches?
You know what's funny? It was a very untraditional start, Alexa. So I was working at Dickey's Barbecue Corporate, which is a barbecue franchise, doing PR. That was my first kind of job. And the family wanted to write a cookbook.
Oh, wow.
And I was tasked with, hey, figure this out, right? Like, we want to do a cookbook. So here I am, green, like I know my skills from college, but that's about it. And that was my first taste in figuring it all out, like the literary agent, what it takes to make the book, like even being a hand model in the book. Like I did all jobs, listening to the author's recordings on a tape, cassette, and dictating all of it.
Wow.
But I loved it. I was like, oh, and then when it came time to start to do the press for the book, I was just excited. I love doing across the board media, but there's something about getting someone's piece of work kind of buzzing and excitement building and actually then having that book affect other people's lives that just really like fuels my fire. So I did that cookbook and knew I wanted to do more, but I didn't know where that would lead me. And it led me actually to a publicity job with Success Magazine. So I headed over there, and that is really where I like honed my chops and got my stride, because I got to work with all of the thought leaders that we think of today, from Mel Robbins to Marie Forleo to Amy Porterfields of the world. Wow. And they would do the book and we worked as a media brand, right? So then I got to work on the media side, helping to promote these books. And so, and before they are who we know all these people are now.
Right.
And that is really, so I spent most of my career as head of publicity and talent at Success working with, I mean, even the most seasoned authors, Les Brown, Bishop Jakes, and seeing how good they are at their craft, but then how important it is to have their message make an impact. And then that's where I came in to help make the impact. And so I decided about 2 years ago that I was like, okay, my calling, my gift, my zone of genius, whatever you call it, is helping authors get noticed by the media and understand how this world works. Because it's a very wild west of a world that the rules keep changing.
For sure. Well, that is super exciting when there's so many interesting things about that, just how you basically taught yourself a skill that has been led into all of those things, which is wonderful. But the other thing, the question that I had that I didn't even know I was going to want to ask you today is around this idea of magazine. So you worked for Success Magazine and you're talking about all of these authors. I don't even, how do authors break into the magazine world and getting featured in magazines and places of that nature?
Well, the thing that's working on author side right now is, unfortunately, publications are cutting journalists left and right. So they have very lean teams. That is why a huge part of strategies I teach everyone is the byline strategy. Write an original piece of content for the magazine and submit it. That is your first foot in the door of building a relationship. And magazines are like yearning for content because they just don't have enough staff and manpower to produce it all.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. And then for those of you who don't know what a byline is, that little line that has your information, you want to give a little more information on how to successfully use that.
Exactly. And so once you're able to start contributing to the magazine and outlet, typically they'll come back and take more and more. And then you can even be a contributing expert. Your relationship starts to grow. And as we all know in PR and media relations, it is all about that relationship. But you are the expert. So don't forget that. And they need your expertise. So that is why a byline is a wonderful place to get in. Another great place, if you're looking at starting at working with magazines, is building a relationship directly with the editor. So say your book is on health, right? And the health editor of Women's World, right? Say that is your target audience. Literally just share as much as you can. If you have research in your book, share it. If you have one of a kind teaching tactics, share it. The more that you can just be a source for the magazine, the quicker your likelihood is for them to come back and be like, hey, let's do something together too.
I never even thought about that. So you can actually reach out to the editor of the relevant magazine and say, hey, I have some information that you guys might want to use for articles and content.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
And they're looking for that, Alexa, because again, they don't have the time to go after and ideate all of these different news angles and stories, right? They're kind of like scrambling, especially a wonderful place to start is to get digital version of the magazine, right? So their website. So when you think of entrepreneur.com to time.com, whatever your target audience is, they're producing new information 24 hours. Like there's always new content on there and they're always looking for experts to be a part of that. And so that is why I always tell people do it twofold. Pitch the magazine, the actual physical magazine, also go after the digital editor too.
There's two different people.
Two different people.
Oh, wow. Good to know. Okay. Well, that's already great information. That's something actionable that everyone can do today. Like just Google the magazines that have something to do with your area of expertise, parenting, cooking, business, entrepreneurship, health, wellness, mindset, whatever. There's something out there. And then finding the editor information and reaching out with good information that they can use for articles, etc.
Absolutely. And what I would suggest, just Google like masthead Forbes, because the masthead will give you everybody's name. And half the time they'll be hyperlinked, but you'll be able to take that name and then go look on their website to get their email.
Perfect. That is great information. Okay. So let's get back to the traditional PR then in marketing for authors writing books. Where I feel like we're essentially talking about nonfiction authors at this point in time, right? Or do you also ever help fiction authors?
I help fiction too.
You do? Oh. Okay, great. Okay. Well, let's talk about, everybody wants to have a bestseller campaign. I mean, for obvious reasons, right? We've written this book, we've invested in this, we want people to actually buy it. What is a bestseller campaign in your world? Because it can look different in different places. And what are some of the things that you focus on to help authors get there?
That's a great question, because I think the most important place to start is understanding there's different types of bestseller.
Yes.
So you have, right? So let's all be clear on that. You have traditional bestseller, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington, Post, like all of that. You also have Amazon bestseller. And then you also have like trade magazine bestseller, like a Publisher's Weekly, which for those of you that aren't aware, Publisher Weekly goes to all literary agents, publicists, anyone in the publishing industry gets this trade publication. So you have multiple ways to be a bestseller. So let's first focus on the traditional bestseller, right? What that is and how to get there. So when you're looking at going that traditional route, you need to start your marketing and PR efforts at least 6 months out.
Thank you so much for reiterating that. Thank you so much, because I keep telling people that and I keep getting this look like you're out of your mind.
Yeah. But that's even just to sell a book, right?
Right.
Take bestseller out.
Right,
Like that
right.
needs to be happen, because all of these opportunities that are going to move the needle for your book take time. Like you need to have a runway, and anything that comes from media, not paid, takes minimum on average 90 days to come to fruition.
Right.
So when you are thinking about like a traditional bestseller, you need to have time. You need to have resources, because financially, if you are not a marketing whiz and PR whiz, typically to hit those big lists, unless you have someone on your team, you need a pretty good engine to help get you there. And by marketing, it's focusing on paid ads, funnels, and email lists. Like you need to have a really, really strong email list. Mm-hmm. And then on the PR side, you need to have someone, or make yourself the expert in getting national press is critical to landing on these lists, especially New York Times, because New York Times looks at, we all know, no one really knows the 100% formula with New York Times, but they look at units sold. Also, if this book is like notable, meaning it's being talked about, it's being reviewed, it's being shared. So what I would suggest anyone that wants to make a bestseller list is like begin with writing your 6 to 12 month strategy, right? Start to focus. If I had to tell somebody focus on 3 things right now to get on the list, it would be number 1, learn and grow your email list.
Yes.
Number 1. Number 2, start making your media contact list and just relationship build right now. Again, this means you're just serving them. You're not asking necessarily for coverage. You're just sharing exciting information with them that may be relevant to a story that they're working on. And number 3, what I would also suggest is get social. And what I mean by that is you don't have to necessarily have a huge social following yourself, but start following and engaging with those that are your target audience that do have a significant following, to be able to start to build that relationship up. So when you are ready to really push pre-sale, you have that foundation there.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you highlight that, because that's something that I also really want authors to understand on the social side. It's not necessarily about, and we talk about this in our Instagram for authors and TikTok for authors and other courses that we do. It's not necessarily about how big your social media following is, right? That will come and grow. But when I was launching my first rom-com book last year in December, I didn't focus very much on growing my own account at all in terms of like what I was posting. I posted a couple pictures. I post some pictures, some reels, some things like that. But where I spent all my energy was going to similar authors' pages and following their followers and engaging with their followers and doing reader follow loops and things like that, and talking to them and commenting on the books that they were reviewing and doing so. And would you believe, like, I built my Instagram from roughly 200 followers to over 1,000 followers in like 2 months, which that doesn't sound like whoa, but let me tell you.
No, but it is whoa, everybody.
Yeah, because
that's my big game.
Yeah, my personal Instagram, I've been trying to build for years, and I don't follow any kind of strategy. I'm just posting about my life, and I'm like not even 2,000 people yet after like 6 years. So, it's like, come on. So it is that engagement piece, that talking to other people and getting in front of the people that you want to make relationships and connections with is far more important than spending hours trying to craft the perfect post and the perfect image and the reels and all of that.
Oh, it is so true, Alexa. And now, as part of PR, you know what we actually look at? Social media is a form of PR now. Like,
yes.
When you think of like traditional PR, like magazines and, podcasts are newer and digital outlets. And then I'm so glad you have a course on TikTok and Instagram for authors, because that is as you know, I mean, that's one of the biggest converters of book sales now.
Yes, tremendously. But it's not coming from the author's accounts unless you're Colleen Hoover. It's coming from the reviewers'
You're
accounts.
so right.
Yes.
It's coming from the reviewers. And that is what matters. Like, one review can catapult your book in so many different directions.
Gosh. Yes.
And that is why I think, as humans, we tend to be like, oh my gosh, are they going to like it? Is this good enough? Can I ask for that? Yes, 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 and yes. Like, remember, you're the expert, and always ask for the review. It's like when you're going out to pitch your book and tell the media about your book, the worst thing they're going to say is no, or not at this time.
Right.
Great. There's 100 more opportunities out there.
So when we're starting all of this 6 months out, we're getting social, we're growing the media connections, we're doing all of those things. And then how do we utilize that to make sure that we see the sales and the buzz that we want to see around our book?
And how to utilize that is a couple different ways. With media, number one, it's being relevant to what they're looking for. So what I mean by that is understanding what they're talking about. The worst thing you can do in reaching out to the media is be super irrelevant on something that they may not cover it, or it's not even timely with what is happening in the greater world around us, right? And there's always a way to make your book, fiction or nonfiction, trending with themes that are already being talked about in the news.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
So I think it is mastering the art of storytelling, because the number one thing I tell authors is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? That's what media cares about. And your book is the tool and tactical piece that they're going to do to implement it. But what, as you, the author expert, are you solving for a problem?
Right.
And so in that time, when you're pitching out to everybody, I would start my pitching efforts is focusing on podcasts. And the reason for that is because they also are one of the highest generators converting to sales.
Right.
And with the media landscape, I would also focus it, like I said, if bestseller is your thing, you're looking for those national opportunities. And the thing I want to note is, you don't have to be a Colleen Hoover to get on Today's Show or Good Morning America.
Right.
You just have to have a great story. And that doesn't mean you have to have like a insanely catastrophic life to get on there, right? But you need a story of why you are speaking to what you're speaking to.
Right.
And then you need to know how to build relationships. Those are the two things. And then on the marketing piece, what you want to do to make sure you're going to actually like see sales come throughout is have a really good Amazon author profile page. And I'm sure you talk about this, Alexa, is like the key is utilizing that page to convert to sales. Also have a really good funnel strategy. That's what's really going to make your book grow sales, is having a strong funnel into your book. And
I want to talk a little bit more about that for the people who don't understand what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, with the funnel? Yeah. So, okay. So when we're talking about the funnel piece of this, what we're talking about are, what are the elements that you're dropping to lead them into your book sale, right? So you can do this a couple different ways. Some people do a freebie offer of whatever that might be, a quiz around your book. That might be a free downloadable, a bonus chapter, whatever that is. It's something that you're giving and serving them in order to move them to that sale. That's what your funnel building is.
And I'd say
that does. Go ahead. Alexa.
Oh no, I was just going to say that the key here, you said it, but just to clarify, the key is to make it relevant. Because what I see sometimes is that people will have, like, if they're doing multiple things, like maybe they're writing a children's book and a fiction book or whatever, they might have a coloring page and then they try to sell people their fiction.
So true.
So it's got to be something that audience that's opting in is interested in, that relates to the book. Yeah.
100%. And what a lot of people will do too is, I've seen authors do events, virtual events, which don't cost anything. And that is a great way to get people engaged and interested in your book. Because the great thing about a funnel, it's not only converting to a sale, they're going on your email list. It's like a double whammy. It's like you get a sale and you get them on your email list. And so, like I said, when you're looking at really how your book is going to move from a nice decoration to like actually into people's hands, it is through focusing on, like I said, email list building, offering a freebie to be able to get them to convert into a sale, having a focus on media, and that is with podcasting, if I like 3, podcasting, byline, and getting yourself out there on national outlets if you can, right? Everybody can, but that's going to be the biggest needle driver. And then the last thing I would say too, Alexa, is to really have your book be catapulted is reviews, 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 reviews.
Yes. Let's just sit here for a moment and talk about
Let's
reviews.
do it.
Because this is, I mean, critical for people. I can't, I am a big proponent of, I spend a lot of time at trade book events, right? I go to bookseller events. I'm going to the American Library Association event. I've gone to the Bologna Book Fair. Like I try to get to all those places, and because it's important to me, whether I'm self-publishing or hybrid publishing or any of those things, I want to be aware of what's happening in the trade. I think it's important. All that to say, trade publishers give away hundreds and thousands of print galley copies. And that's so important in creating buzz and getting reviews. But even that doesn't always result in a ton of reviews, etc. But it's important to give away, whether it's not print copies, but ebook copies, something when you are new, so that people will give your book a chance, because there's bajillions of books out there. And why are they just going to go a brand new book by somebody who has no, they're nobodies to them. I'm sorry to say it that way. None of us are nobodies, but you know what I mean?
Yes. Right.
And, so what is your strategy for these reviews and creating that buzz?
Yeah, I think there's 2 parts of the strategy. One is if, like you're mentioning, you're traditionally published authors and you get galleys and you're able to send those out to all the publishing houses, right? So you can send those out to be reviewed by Goodreads, the New York Times, Washington Post, all of those. You can submit your book out. The key thing to remember is reviews, even if you're an independent published author, is they need those at least 6 months. Some are 8 months before your book comes out. They want to see something.
Right.
So remember that timeline. If you are on, whether you're self-published or published, you also want to, like you said, do giveaways and engage your community to leave a review. And so how you do that is literally starting with your network, which is your email list, putting it on social, and doing that with a giveaway, right? Because you never want to pay for a review. Like in our line of work, we never do a paid trade for a review, in the sense of like, okay, will you 150 people go review it on Amazon for me?
But clarify, paid reviews with individual reviewers, not trade or industry reviews.
Yes, sorry. This is for individual on Amazon.
Right,
we don't pay 1-to-1 to have a review on Amazon.
Exactly.
Right. And so another great approach in getting reviews is when you are on doing podcasts and any of your media interviews, always do a CTA to that giveaway of the review. Anybody who loves my book and leaves a review, like I'm going to do a special one-on-one coaching session for 5 lucky people, or whatever that is that you're doing to entice people that are like already part of your target audience. And they're like, oh, this would be cool. Like I get this. It's a way to still offer a value and ask for a review, but it's not an exchange of money.
Yeah. And just to clarify on this point, because it is, you have to be careful with Amazon terms of services. You can't give away anything in exchange for an Amazon review. So,
Yes.
Yeah. Be careful that, if they take that review and they post it on Goodreads or on their social media and then happen to put it on Amazon,
then that's fine. Yes, that's the thing. They can post that on social and they can post it anywhere, because even if you get a review on social media, Alexa, the great thing is you can take that review and put it in your author bio section of Amazon, right? Like if it's a big name that's giving you love and credit for your book, you can include that in your author Amazon profile.
Right.
But to your point, there's multiple places you can get reviewed. And with Amazon, I think the other key thing to note too is you want to make sure most of your reviews are verified, that they bought the book and purchased it, because Amazon has been cracking down on how many unverified reviews they receive, that an author receives. And they're starting to shadow ban certain accounts. And we've seen it, and we've worked with authors that luckily it hasn't happened to them, but they've been notified there's too many unauthorized reviews not accounted for. And so you do need to be careful.
We believe it's 50 in one day. That's where we've seen with authors when they've hit about that point, when they're getting that point. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, that is really important. And I know sometimes when we're working with authors on building their launch team, they have people that have received a free copy of the book and are going to review it. We like to tell them to put it on sale for 99 cents and ask them to go buy it at 99 cents too, so that you do get those verified reviews. But there's so many strategies around this, and you can do it so many different ways.
Yes, so many different ways. And then you can also do, like, especially if you are doing any type of speaking and people are buying your book on premise, like say you're selling your book somewhere, it's the power of the ask them to leave a review. Right. I think that's the thing that most authors forget, because a lot of authors will go to those different trade shows you're talking about, even on a local level, right? The community book festivals.
Yeah.
That is a prime place. Say the goal was selling 20 books, that could be 20 reviews. Yeah. That's a huge number. That makes a significant difference.
Yeah, exactly. But I think with reviews, like it's frustrating because you can give your book away to a lot of people and it's really hard to enforce that they do anything with it. And I know a lot of people will get real caught up in that. Well, I gave away the book, 1,000. We had this situation. We ran Facebook ads, and the Facebook ads were incredibly effective in growing our email list, because we did the ad to a free copy of the book for advanced readers. However, it was cold audiences. We had no idea, we added the people to our email list, and over time, many of those people have stayed on our email list and have reviewed other books and done other things. But at the end of the day, those 1,000 people resulted in about 50 reviews. So that gave me a really good understanding of how many people you actually have to give the book to get 50 reviews. It's painful.
It is so true, Alexa. And I'm so glad you brought that point up, because we're working, like, we just launched a published book who is a very well-known author. He's connected to everybody, like this man. He only has 30 Amazon reviews right now, right? So, like, let's put this all into perspective.
Yes. The truth of the matter is, some genres get far more reviews than others.
So true.
If you've published a business building book, you may not get a lot of people putting reviews on it. If you've published a steamy romance, those are the people who leave reviews. They love books, they read them, they review them.
Well, because they're tied to a character, and there's much more of an emotional tie to those types of books, and emotion drives action. And so that is such a great point, Alexa, because truly, if your target audience is like CEOs on this leadership book, they're not going to be going to Amazon, or Goodreads and leaving their favorite review. They may love your book, but it's probably going to be more word of mouth that your book gets shared.
Right. Or maybe, and I don't know if this is a strategy that you work with them, but I know with a lot of our nonfiction books like that, what we try to focus on is endorsements from people ahead of time, and then we can put those in the editorial review box. So even if it doesn't show a ton of reviews, we've got at least a long list of endorsements.
Yeah, I love that you do that. We do that too. It's so important to have endorsements. Like, it's kind of like, how many degrees of separation? There's got to be someone in there that has like a weightier name, right? And to your point, can help build up that credibility, that brand proof by endorsing your book, because it is a review. It's just not technically through one of the review sites.
Exactly. Do you have any other tips for like, if people are frustrated, if they're trying to get the reviews, any other tools or sites or ways that your clients are seeing success getting reviews?
You know what? One of the untraditional paths that we use is Quora, and we set up Quora Q&As for authors. I don't know if you guys do this, Alexa.
I've never even heard this strategy. Tell me all about it.
Okay, guys.
Your
So
face.
Quora is amazing. It is where so many, like, just all topics are talked about, but there's a huge, huge following of writers and publishers and all of that on Quora. And what you can do is start an account, and it's basically you ask a question and you answer it. And then individuals will either do an arrow up if they found that, like, yeah, that is helpful, I'm going to use that. Arrow down, people comment on it. Like, that's kind of the rudimentary way of thinking about Quora. You question, you put the answer, and then people kind of vote on how helpful that is, but they can also engage with you. So
Nice.
one strategy we're using is you can start a profile and set up Quora Q&As where you can take whatever your book is about and take relevant things. Like, say you have a book on how to grow your career, right? You take the most trending questions, and where you can find this, side note, is you Google, right? Google, like, how do I grow my career? Scroll down in Google and you're going to see 5 suggested questions in Google, right? When you scroll past the first 2, those are the most searched questions right now in that category.
Bingo.
Bingo. Then you're going to take that question, put it on Quora because it's around the theme of your book, answer it, and do that back and forth. The second part of this that we have found a lot of success to is you as the author leaving answers on questions that are relevant to your book.
Yes.
That, and how that leads to reviews is then people are like, oh, okay, how do you know about this? What do you have? And then the core audience are very loyal individuals. And when you ask them to do something, that's been our highest conversion of reviews that have come from Quora.
Wow. I've never heard this before. This is breaking brand new news. So we've interviewed, I know, that's amazing. I've interviewed a lot of PR and marketing experts, and that's the first time I've heard that as
you have
suggestion. So that's really amazing. I'm excited. We have a lot of nonfiction and even memoirs. I think, memoir is such an interesting category when it comes to marketing, right? Because to have a really successful memoir, it needs to be written and marketed like a fiction book, but on the same time, it's your life, it's your knowledge. There's probably a lot of things you can weigh in on all kinds of things. I mean, we have one woman in our group right now that's writing a memoir about her time in a cult in the 70s, right? So
okay, that on Quora would go gangbusters, because that's the thing. It's topics about everything. It's kind of like a Reddit, but a little bit easy, like a little bit more like positive, and not that Reddit's negative, but
it can get squirrely. It can get a little weird over there.
It can. And just, we have found the community and the target audiences for authors has been much better in Quora.
That's
so
great.
Like her book, that's great, because people will ask things about, like, different things, like for the woman who amazingly got out of the cult, right? There will be questions around different themes from that she could start to build a following and answer to, because it's like social. You have a profile, people then follow you. But it's actually one-to-one engagement, which is much better to convert to.
And is Quora a free tool to use?
It's free.
Oh, awesome. Free. Okay. Everybody go create your accounts. One more tool to use. One more way to waste our time.
Okay.
I know, it's so funny. Everybody listening is already like, oh my gosh, not another place. But I think
just watch, just go visit it.
Yes,
like, yes. I ask, just visit it and see.
And the truth is, with social media, like, you find the places where you're supposed to be. I mean, I tell people they're supposed to be using Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn and now Quora and where else? I've missed something, but there's all these places. But in reality, I spend very little time in any of those places. I spend, the ones that I'm the most interested in are Instagram. So that's where I spend the most of my time. And we reutilize content and repost and share a lot of stuff on YouTube. So I've built over 1,000 followers on YouTube just by posting our webinars and our podcast episodes. And I'm not out there creating a bunch of stuff for YouTube. I'm just sharing what we already have. So, find the place that works the most. And if you're building the key is readers, right? The key is readers. So if your readers are there and people are engaging with you and following you and excited about you in a place, that's where you spend your time and energy.
It is so true. And I got to give a plug for Instagram because for media purposes.
Yes.
If you are looking, like where I tell all authors to go is go find, okay, Julie Sams. We know she's the editor at, Southern Living. Go to Instagram, find her account, follow her. Don't DM her. Yeah,
Right.
don't spam
DM
up her DMs. Literally start to comment on relevant content to your story and your book. I have found so many lead opportunities through Instagram that have landed authors on Oprah Daily and another one on Rachel Ray, all by connecting with talent bookers on there, producers, editors. So guys, Instagram is, journalists have gone away from Twitter for various reasons and recent developments.
Right.
So Instagram, really, you don't have to have, like we talked about, an amazing account, but know that is a great relationship building platform for media.
Okay. I just went over looking for Julie Sams and I can't find her.
Oh, she's a made up name.
Oh, that's hilarious. I was literally over there like, I'm going to get some articles in Good Housekeeping.
Off the top of my head, I was like, wait, Julie Sams. That's a good
article
name.
would be Bad Housekeeping. Like,
okay. But once, like I said, if you go to a masthead of the magazine and you find their name, like for example, like one of the names is Derek Warburton, and he's the editor of Gurus magazine, and he is on, and that's how him and I started a relationship, and I started contributing to him.
That's awesome. I'm gonna
so
look.
Like
Gurus magazine. Do they have a web? Do they have? Sometimes when you're searching.
Yep, and they are very much lifestyle. So while it looks like fashion and beauty, and it's all lifestyle. So any author in the lifestyle category, it's a great one to be connected with, to just also grow your byline strategy too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, oh my goodness, you have given me far more than I expected to come out of this podcast interview, and I'd like to officially invite you to be a speaker on the Women in Publishing Summit, because I feel like we could really dig into this. And
I would love to. I would love to.
Yes.
Can I tell you, Alexa, meeting someone also in the publishing space makes me so jazzed, and I love all the work that you're doing with your incredible authors, that this is like my happiest moment right here is just speaking with you.
I love this too. I mean, it's so much fun to go back and forth with other colleagues and professionals in the field. And really that's what the Women in Publishing Summit is to create a space where we can find each other and network with the right people and learn from each other and share with each other. So, well, I appreciate that. And you really, really delivered some fantastic.
I hope so. I just want to educate, because knowledge is power and everybody should have the same opportunity.
Amen. So I'm sure there is somebody who's going to be listening to this at some point in time, if not like immediately, that says, I want to work with this woman. So how do they come work with Paige Dungan?
Yeah, two ways. So our website is thefrontporchcollective.co, C-O, no M. And honestly, I put a ton of free content on my Instagram at the Paige Dungan. I just did a challenge 2 weeks ago of telling like how to use influencers to grow your book sales and lead to media purposes. Like I do a ton of free trainings just because I want people to, like I said, be educated about their opportunities.
That is a real account, and I'm
that's me.
I looked that one up and actually found somebody. That is so funny. And then you also have TPF Collective on there. So I am following you now. Yay. Okay. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you so much. We'll have all your links, all your accounts, everything in the show notes so that people can come. Okay, so it's not finding TPF Collective. That's so weird. Is that not on Instagram?
Oh, TFP Collective.
Oh, TFP. Okay, it helps when you're looking up the right account. TFP Collective. Good grief. Okay, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
This has been great, Alexa. Like I said, you have fueled my fire, so thank you.
Well, thank you. We're just going to sit here and thank each other for...
Yes, we are, all day.
It's all about giving back the love and appreciation, right? All right. Well, everybody check out all of Paige's resources. If you missed those in the discussion, you can go over to the show notes. You can find the Publisher Podcast page at the womeninpublishingsummit.com. All of our show notes are over there. And we look forward to seeing you as a presenter in March at the conference.
So excited, guys.
I just went ahead and told her she's going to be there.
I'm coming. I'm available.
Amazing. All right. Have a great day.
You don't have to give me your heart. You don't have to give it away. You don't got
Thank you for joining us on the Publisher Podcast. We hope to see you back for the next episode. Great, huge thanks goes to Jasmine Commerce for the use of her song. You can find Jasmine on SoundCloud. Go check out all of her music. We'll see you next time.